Welcome back to another burnt house video. This video we're going to continue on the barn. Off camera I finished this wall behind me. I finished the top of the fascia there. And now it's time to go build some gates. Alright, we're in my temporary workshop while we rebuild the house. I picked up the frame of a shop today, so we might be building a new shop for me at the burnt house here soon. So this is kind of an exciting project for me because I get to use all my new tools. I have a brand new welder right there, new bottle, new helmet, everything new for that. I have my brand new CNC plasma table right there that I'm going to cut the inside of the gates out of. For the frame of these gates, I'm going to be using this 1x2 rectangle tubing. Then I'll put the panel in the middle and the inside of this, which we'll be cutting out later on the plasma table. So the garage at the burnt house was my workshop. It wasn't exactly the biggest workshop, but it was a lot bigger than this. This space is tiny. It's kind of fun to try to maneuver. It's very difficult, but check this out. This tube that I'm cutting is just barely tapping that door, but it's the perfect length for me to get this cut where I need it. All right, now that I got all these cut out, I'm gonna clean up the ends. I'm gonna tack it all together. Then I'll cut the panel. I'll make sure the panel fits, and then I'll weld everything solid. So this thing's awesome, but for doing work like this, just cleaning up, it's kind of a pain. Holding it down here makes this really top heavy, and it gets really tiring on the arm. I had an old one, an old cheap DeWalt that was about this size, but it had the switch on the side, and I was able to switch it, and then I would kind of get up here and hold it, and it'd be much easier on the hand. I could work for hours with it. Eventually I'll get one of those, but if you're in the market for a grinder and you're doing this type of cleanup work, I wouldn't get this. It's great for cutting though, because you can get back here and you can really cut with it. But just a little side note. So now that we're done with this, we're gonna go over to the plasma table and cut out the panel. This is what I came up with. Hopefully it turns out really cool. So I've cut a few things on this machine. You might have seen the star and the B on the barn. This thing is fantastic. I used to have the Crossfire, the 2x2, and it was really cool too, but it was obviously very limited to only a 2x2 deck. This thing being a 4x8, I can throw a full sheet on here and cut out basically whatever I want. And the fire control and the whole touchscreen computer and everything on this machine is so much easier and so much better than the little machine. I'm not sponsored by Langmur at all. I bought this with my own money. I just really enjoy it so far. It's been a really fun machine. I can't wait to grow with it and get better. So all I'm doing now is trying to get it as close as possible so that I'm not creating a bunch of waste. So I'm just making sure that my torch will not go over the edge, but still be as close to the edge as possible. So it's great. I'm gonna weld this all up, let the air compressor take a little break before I cut the next one. Keep it welding. All right, well now that I got everything tacked together, I'll weld these corners. Well, that completes all 3 gates. I'm really excited about them. I think they turned out really great. Now we're gonna move on to the hinge system. I designed a little rectangle plate that has a straight marker line so I can get this lined up and has screw holes in it. So I'll get that cut out next, and then we'll weld to the plate and we'll weld to the hinges and we'll move on to the barn. All right, now that I got these cleaned up a little bit, I'll show you my plan. Obviously, I got these screw holes here that unfortunately I'm gonna have to drill out, which is fine. And then I'll countersink them. I added this line so I would have a perfect center mark and so I could square up, do something like that. So I'll drill out all these holes first and then I'll weld these guys on. And we'll move on to the barn. All right, now that we've got those all countersunk, we're gonna weld on the hinges. For this, I'm gonna have to create a gap underneath to weld. That way I can get this bottom piece on and off easily. Okay, I thought I would explain a little bit about what's going on here. I thought I was going to put this hinge more in the center. And then I thought and realized if I put it in the center, I'll have very little swing. So what I did was clamp this to the top so we know that the gate will open full extension one way, but it won't open very far the other, which that way we'll just have swing towards the pig or inwards of the pin, but then it can swing all the way out. Also, I'm going to put one this way and the other one this way down there. Normally I would put the hinges to where they set inside going the same way, so you can just lift the gate up onto the hinges and you're good. But in this case, we're going to have animals inside there. I don't want them to push up the gate and it fall over and they get out. All right, so I got everything welded up. Looks good. I almost forgot about a latch system. So I thought about making my own, but then we ran into town and we saw this guy. We like this a lot. It's spring loaded, it's pretty heavy duty. It's maybe a little tough for the kids, but my thought was to mount it down inside, have it go through this outside frame and into the post. This is a little thick for that. It would protrude through this layer of the frame, so we're not gonna go that route. So then I thought about welding it here and having it protrude out a little bit, but I don't really like this gap. So I'm gonna weld it on flush in the corner of this. I think it looks pretty good. So let's weld these on real quick, and then we're done. Move on to the barn. I like that. I think that'll work pretty good. Looks pretty good too. Before we install these awesome gates, we gotta take out this crappy gate. You didn't notice I cut out these 2 awesome signs here. I think they look pretty cool. They'll get even cooler when they rust, but they look pretty sweet. I always get nervous of everything that I build, that it's actually going to fit. I measured everything like 3 times, but you never know. 3 perfectly fitting gates. The only thing left to do is to drill out a hole for the latch to go into. Not the perfect bit for this job, but it'll work.